Hello everyone, and welcome back to Lovella's Coloring. How are you all doing? I do hope that you are all doing great. As for me, I'm just trying to keep warm. I have my little heating thing to keep my hands warm. I'm wearing my shawl, and hopefully it doesn't get in the view or hit my microphone. So if it does, I apologize. So anyways, for this video, I will be sharing with you guys how I go about coloring transparent clothing and how I would color an image that is under ice or water. These were requested and I thought I would just combine them both together in one video because the way I will color them is kind of the same. So I will be sharing how I color in transparent clothing in Grazia Salvo's Loveliness coloring book. This is the Women of Flowers collection 2. It will be the page that I used to color a rose right over here. So as you can see, I continued on, but the portion that I'm going to be focusing on is this area right over here. So I will show how I color transparent clothing right over in this part. And in White Stag's Misfits, a winter fantasy coloring book, this is number 10, I will be coloring the fairy girl that is trapped in the iceberg, which is this one. And I did try a little bit just because I had an idea of how I want to go about coloring it, and I just wanted to try it out. So yeah, and this is the page that I did in a previous video where I show how I color these icebergs, and I'll leave links to those videos down below in the video descriptions if you haven't seen them yet. And I will go ahead and start off with Grazia Salvo's book, and I will leave a timestamp in the video descriptions for the start of the coloring in the Misfits, just in case you want to jump forward. So before I start in this book, I just wanted to say that the request that I was asked for the transparency clothing came from an Astro Inklings video that I did of the completed book, and these are the pictures that I pulled out from that book where it shows transparent clothing. So this one is all colored with Faber-Castell Polychromos. And you can see I wanted the wrap to be like a hint of green but still be see-through, and I just colored it lighter than the skin color, lighter than the dress color for both sides. And then on this one, this was colored with markers as a base. So for the skin, I did markers as a base. See right there. Then I colored over it with Prismacolor. So this is what I'm pretty much going to do, where it's a base of alcohol markers, and then I'll go over it with colored pencils. So the page, like I said earlier, is the one that I've already done a video on, where I show how I color a rose, and I colored this with just pencils. And I used the Prismacolor pencils, and I did continue working on the page after the video because I wanted to go ahead and do the base of her skin so it's dry by the time I start. And I wanted also to do the water, and I was also trying some of my other mediums, like the water is colored in with the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer, and yeah, they're new to me, so I wanted to start using them. So I used it for the water, and I left this area blank to show you how I'm going to color that in. And then you can see I colored this portion of her skin that's underneath the clothing with the alcohol marker. So the alcohol marker I did use for this is the Touch New brand, and this came from the Skin Tone set. The color is number 132, Milky White. So I'll go ahead and zoom you guys into this portion here. So I did color in this portion of the skin just to see what colors I will use for the rest of her, and to use the same colors that I used on this part into hints of the skin on underneath the clothing on here. So the colors I used are from the polychromos, the Faber-Castell polychromos. So I used violet number 138. I used dark sepia number 175. I used bister number 179. Cinnamon number 189. And this is light flesh number 132. Sorry, can't. And I did also use the luminance. This is buff titanium number 801, but you can also use white from Faber-Castell, but for this picture I will be using the Prismacolor. This is my small one. Look at the Prismacolor white, PC 938. So I'll go ahead and start with this area first. I just want to go ahead and color that in, and I'll be using the same colors that I used for the background with the Albrecht Dürer, but I'll be using the polychromos. So I'll be using, I'll start off with the light cobalt turquoise. This is number 154, and then if I need to add a little more color, I will use cobalt green number 156. So I just want to point out, like, the vines that I did, I colored them in with Derwent Inktense. I was trying another medium, and I colored the vines after I colored the water. I did color it lighter, so I only gave like a little hint of the color before I used a water brush to activate it, and I didn't want that much anyways. The vines, when I start on it, it will come out darker, so it would look faint, and that's kind of the idea that I want, that when it's underwater it's not as clear. So that's why I left it like that. So now with the clothing, I'm sorry, I'm used to using my middle finger to point. I'm trying not to do that, but you can see the way Grazia Salvo drew in the sheer material. You see a lot of the folds, so she gives you shadows on the area where it's folded in towards her body, and that would be the areas where I'll most likely color in. So with the blue area right over here, I'm just going to lightly color in areas where I think the blue would show up. So I'm just lightly coloring in, just like giving hints of color. And where the creases go in, that's where I'm going to put a lot more color. And the thing with Grazia Salvo's book, she gives you hints of where the shadows would be, so you can also use that as your guideline. I just want to go a little bit into so that was with the light cobalt turquoise number 154. I'm just going to come in with the cobalt green, that is number 156, and just a little bit. I don't need too much because I'm going to also go over it with the white Prismacolor, so that's going to lighten up the darker color that I add into here. And I don't want too much anyways, so I think that's pretty good. I'll leave it like that for now. I'm going to go ahead and start with her skin. And with skin, I always start off with shade color. So I start off with the purple. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't know. It depends. So I'm just going to go in and, like, I'm coloring the skin, just ignoring, well, not ignoring. I'm just going to be aware of where the creases are, and then just add there, because I want it to be dark, since I'm thinking this area inside her arm, the side of her body, is going to be a little bit darker. So I'm just adding just a little bit more shade. It's light, it's not dark. So I'm going to come in with the Bister 179. Let's start here. I'm kind of just going to slowly, I'm just light layers. I'm not going heavy or anything like that. Coloring over the purple that I laid down. Next, I'll come in with cinnamon. That's number 189. Again, going over where I laid the burnt umber. I'm just slowly going towards the, because I left a little white area in here, because that's where the fabric is pulling away from the body. So I just thought I would just stop right over here, and then if I need to add more color, I'll do it with the pencils. And I'm just going to slowly go towards where this is where the material is pulling away from the body, and I'm just going to color a little bit in there. Not so much. Same to the other side. I think this is why it takes me a little long to color. It's just I like to go in lightly, and so if I do make a mistake, it's going to be a little easier to erase and start over again. And also it also gives you an idea of where you want your colors, where you need to add a little more. It's easier to add more than to take away, so just going at it slowly is for me it's the best to continue in the coloring. And I'm gonna ignore okay, this is an adult side. I know she's a woman, she's gonna have a nipple right over here, but I'm going to be also using a Posca, and I'm going to be coloring over the white lines, and it's going to be white, and I'm going to use the Prismacolor, so I'm not going to be like adding any more color to it. So I'm just going to leave that like that. Just adding where I think I could use more color. Whoops. So you can see I colored this part dark because I know there's going to be shadow in there, and I want it to look continuous going all the way down, so I'm going to add a little bit more shadow soon. To this area. Go ahead and pull out the dark sepia number 175, and I'm just going to just a light coloring. And then come in with the Bister. Bister is number 179. Looks like there's a scratch mark. I'm not sure. See that, but there's color in there. It's okay to go in a little bit darker because I will be going over it with the white Prismacolor, so dull down the color a bit. So I'm just trying to remember that, so I can go in a little bit darker to make sure that the color shows through that white Posca a little bit. So again, I'm back with the cinnamon, and I just coloring that in. So I'm just going to add a little bit of color. Into this part of the clothing. Sorry if it's shaking. I didn't realize. I can't tell. Hold on. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the light peach or light flesh. This is number 132. I'm just going to go over the whole thing. Not burnishing, I'm not pressing down or anything. I'm just going over and a little bit over the white area. So where the crease is. And then a little, still like heading towards this part of the material. So for each of them. So this is just what I see in my head, how I would go about doing it. These transparent looking clothes, and I'm just going to go ahead and do the white So I'll be using white, which is number PC938. This is the Prismacolor Premier. And I like to use the Prismacolor one because it's a lot more opaque compared to the Faber-Castell one. So I'm just going to go over the line. I'm going to go over it with the white Posca, but I just want to go over it, and I'm just going to, now I'm like burnishing it, so I'm pressing down hard. I'm going to go over the blue section first. I'm going to make sure there's none left on my pencil. Okay, so that's part of it, and then I'm going to end it with the Posca. This is the 1M size, and I'm just going to go over the outside. I'm going to outline some of the material that pops out. Okay, so after putting the white Posca, I like this section better. This one is bothering me a little bit with the white Posca. It's just so white. So I'm going to be pulling out my Prismacolor because it's softer, and if I go over the white, I'm just hoping that it's not going to scratch off the Posca that I just laid down. So I'm going to be using Nectar, which is PC1092, and I'm just going to go over lightly over the Posca, because if I use the Faber-Castell, it's a hard lead that would end up scratching over the, will just scratch off the Posca. So I'm just going to color over the the white Posca, and I made sure the tip of my pencil is blunt. If it was sharp, it could have just be scratching away the white Posca that I just laid down. I'm just trying to dull down the whiteness, because I wanted to take out the black lines. So I'm just lightly going over. That scratched a little bit there. over the white lines. Because the difference with this picture compared to the other ones I did, like the first one where I just used all pencils, I didn't use any white Posca. On the second picture where I used markers, oops, there was only the outside part of the clothing, so I didn't have to color inside. But so you're seeing right now what I would do, you know, if I didn't know. So this is me trying to figure out how do I do it so that I'm happy with the picture. I also have to step back from the picture. If I look too closely to it, you know, I'm sure gonna see a lot of stuff I'm not gonna like. But if you step back and just look at it as a whole, so dulled it down a little bit, I think. Like that. Yeah. So let me go ahead and add some more white. Just for the portions where it's sticking out, the material that's sticking out. Just want to go over this part right over here. So the white Prisma is pretty much what really helps in making it look transparent. Go. I'll probably go ahead and do white Posca in this part because you can see just slightly where the material is. I'm just going where the lines that Grazia gave. Still see the black lines. I'm just whiting it out. So let me go ahead and zoom you guys out. Okay, so this is how it looks like if you step back. I can still kind of see the white lines, but it doesn't bother me so much. Only if I like really look up close to it, I can just tell. But I think, yeah, it's either leave the black lines or add the white Posca, or I could have just colored it over with, oh, I did color it over with the Prismacolor, but I can still see a lot of the black lines, so I wanted to use the Posca for that. So I hope you guys like how it looks. It's kind of, I don't know if like some of the clothes you're going to be coloring is going to have a lot of these creases on it, or folds. So, but the white Prismacolor is what I would go towards and use to go over the color that I put underneath to lighten it up to make it look like it's transparent. I hope I explained myself okay. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and go start on the white stag. Let me go ahead and switch the books. Okay, so in white stag, I will be doing this page. And like I said before, this is the page that I made a video of on how I color the icebergs. And someone asked how I would color the girl underneath, and also they asked like how I colored the water jug. Let's go ahead and pull this out. Sorry. So I believe it's from this picture. This is actually my first coloring of a person, and of this much detail, and then with Prismacolor on Create Space coloring books. These are Amazon printed books, and this is all colored with Prismacolor. And I believe the way I colored this is I laid the blue down. I added where I wanted the blue, and then I added color of skin, so it's probably nectar that I used. Then I went over parts of it with white to blend it all. So with this one, again, I will be using the Prismacolor Premier White PC 938. And I already did a portion over here. I'll go ahead and zoom you guys in so you can see what I'm going to do over here. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to be using Prismacolor Premiers to color it in. And normally with this kind of page, before I even use the gouache that I did in the bottom part, I would have colored the girl in first, then did the gouache, but I'm going to try to color on top of the gouache, and we'll see how that one goes. So I'll start off with her hair. Now you can see where I forgot what the color was, aqua or turquoise, light green, I'm not sure, but across her hair, going across, so it shows like it's supposed to show the iceberg kind of like bending in, because this iceberg is not perfectly round, has little cracks and dents and everything like that. So for her hair, for this part, I used, is it Rosy Beige 1019. I used Clay Rose 1017. Sorry. And then Black Cherry 1078. And then of course the white again, Prismacolor. So I'll color on this side to show where there's a lot of the blue. I usually start off with the lightest color, and I'm just going to go in the middle, and I'm just coloring it lightly towards areas where I put the green. So everywhere that's going to be this, or her hair color, or where her hair is where I'm going to lay the Rosy Beige. So just go ahead and color . I thought this should be easier and faster, I think. And I'm sorry if I keep hitting my microphone. I'm not sure if I am while I'm recording, but if I do, I apologize. I had to move it because I'm wearing the shawl, so I didn't want that one hitting it either. So I'm just going to color the rest of her hair in. So you can see that everywhere that I laid the turquoise, I'm not coloring over it. So like with running water, I would lay the blue first where you would see the blue of the water, and then any space that's kind of, I'll leave a little bit of space to add the color that will show from beneath it. So I laid down, I think that's, what is this? I think this is here. And I've got this section right over here. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with the clay rose. It is PC 1017. And just the areas where I think it would be dark. And I'm not pressing down or anything. I'm just going over it. Sorry, I can't speak. Lightly, and then just going over it again if I want to darken it. Yeah, so when I use the white, it will give you the impression that there's something over it. It's not supposed to be clear, so, or crisp. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with the black cherry. So this is my darkest shade for her hair. And I just want to put it where I think would be the most shaded parts. So just not pressing too hard, just enough so that it would lay color down. And I hope it's okay that I fast forward some portions because I'm trying to go fast at the same time. But not too fast because I don't want to mess up or anything. So, and yeah, so that's probably why I'm gonna fast forward, because it helps if I concentrate instead of trying to speed peek, and yeah. So go ahead and fast forward for a little bit. Okay, so I was gonna color her with a black dress and then use the same color that I use on her hair, on her dress, or on her stockings also. So I'll go ahead and move down here. So you can see like part of her legs is not covered with gouache, and then the other part is with gouache. So I'm gonna color this portion like I colored her hair. So it's just a little bit, and I'm going to use the lightest color. And I'm going to pick this one. So I'm just going to lay down a little bit of color here and there. Not so much, just a hint of color here. Like that. So every other be this one. So I'm just going to leave hints of color. I'm not going to color it in. That's how I'm going to color this portion, because it already has gouache in, and I don't want it to be like clearly as clear as the top portion, because it's underwater too. So I'm just leaving little hints of color, and then do the same the other side. Hints of color, just not so much, just a little bit. And probably nothing here, but just leave it like that. There we go. And then that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave it like that. So I don't think I should need to add, did I say it correctly? I don't think I need to add any more color, anything added to it. So I'm just giving hints of color. I don't know what happened there. We got it. Okay, so her dress, I wanted it to be black, so I'm gonna bring out some colors. Okay, so from the Prismacolor Premier set, I'm bringing out the 90% cool gray, 70% cool gray, 50% and 30%. I'm not sure which order I'm going to be using. So I'm going to start off with the 50 gray first, just to lay down my color. And so this is PC1063. And I'm just going to lay down where the dress is so I don't miss any spots. And so just lightly go over it. I'm not going to go too far, but since this is a dark color, I know I'm gonna see first. I'm just gonna go as far as the blue, and then we'll see how we go in. How we're gonna color the rest. So I'm just going lightly first, or the colors are going to be added on lightly. So I know the top part is going to be a little bit darker. I'm just going to go ahead and start off with the cool gray, 90%. Again, you know, I'm still going to decide if I'm going to go over the black portion with the white or just like the 10% cold gray. So anyways, while I have that in the back of my mind, I'm going to continue coloring. So what I usually do when I come in, especially with this kind of picture, I color what I know is like going to need the 90% cold gray. So it's like this portion up here. So I know that part's going to be dark, so I just colored those first before I jump into like this section here, because that part is still like I have to see. So I'm just going to color the portions that I know I want the 90% cool gray. I'll go ahead and come in with the 70% cool gray, PC1065. Now start off at the top again. And I'm just going lightly, I'm not going hard, going over the 90% and just going out towards the lighter part of the dress. Not covering it totally because I want it to be gradual before I commit to it being totally covered. Just go like this. Then go over here. Again, just lightly going over the 90% and slowly going out towards the outside of her dress. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with the 50%. This is PC1063. And so I'm not going totally over the 90. I'm just going from just like this portion and then towards the light area. Still leaving a little bit of light or highlight. And then go ahead and go here. So now I'm just filling in some little white space that I find in between the blue glare. And just slowly go towards the outside part of the dress. Yeah, I think that's good. Come in now again with the, or I don't know if I used this already, 30% cool gray, PC1061. And this is the part where I'm going to go over the white portion, or the highlight portion of the dress that I left, and just go over it. So like the hair, I wanted the part of the stripes to also be black. So instead I will go ahead and use 50% cool gray, PC1063, to do the other stripes. So I'm just going to I'm not going to go over the blue, I'm just going over the portion that has white areas. And again, like I did with the rosy beige, was it the rosy beige that I did? I'm just going to come in and lightly come in with the color right there. Then same with the other leg. Oh wait, no, this is part. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I'm going to color her skin. So for her skin, I'm going to start off first with Parma Violet PC1008. I'm also going to use Nectar PC1092 and Light Peach, which is PC927. Okay, sorry, I don't remember where I left off. I paused so you don't know that I left. My son just came home from school, so I wanted to make sure that he knows not to bang on my door because I'm recording. So I'll start off with Parma Violet PC1008. Sorry, I feel like I'm out of breath from running downstairs. So the Parma, I'm just laying down where I think the shadowed portion is of her face. So I'm not using any different colors or anything. I'm just gonna give her regular pale color. So I'm just coloring in the sections that would be shadowed. The inside part of her arm. Right here. What else? Okay, so I'm going to come in with the Nectar PC1092 and just go ahead and color her in. I'm just doing it lightly. Just have to remember that I will be going over her face with the white. What is that? White PC938, I believe. Yeah. Sure how to color her eyes. So I'm just going over the area that I colored the Parma Violet. Now I'm going to come in with the PC927. Going over all of it and just towards the center of her face, where I'm just going to leave white. I'm coloring like in a medium pressure. I don't know if her nose look weird, but let's keep on going. So I don't want to color in too much because I'm going to be going over it with the white Prismacolor. And here, just keep on going. So for her hands, right down over here, I'm just going to give her hints of color. Just little hints where I like here. Right, and then on her legs, where I laid down the gouache, her foot, just gonna put a little bit. Probably like where it like shadowed or something. Just lightly go over the gouache. I'm not going over the what is it? Wherever I laid the blues. Forgot what the color was. So it's just a hint of color that I'm giving. So I think I said it before, like when I was doing the water one, I laid down the blue first, and then I add any color that's going to be behind it to it, and then I will be using white to go over. But for the gouache part, I'm leaving it as it is. So when you see this page from afar, you should just see like hints of color. And it's supposed to be underwater, so that's why I don't want to put too much color into it. So now we'll go back up here. Okay, so I wasn't sure what to do with the wings, but I think I will outline the wings, but the color of it, I think I'm just going to use the colors that I already have out. I'm going to use 50% gray and the lightest color that I used for her hair, which is rosy beige, I believe. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is the outside part, I'm just going to color in 50% and slowly go in for all of it. I'm just going to go on the outside. Like this. Again, anywhere there's the blue line, I will leave that in. And also I'll be going over this section with white also. So right over here, sorry. This section. Here. I like to reuse colors in different sections of the book, of the page. So now I'm going to be using the rosy beige, and I'm just going to color it in towards the middle. That's it. And then color it in with the white after, the white Posca after I use the white, what is that? Prismacolor. Sorry, can't think. Okay. So that's it. I'm gonna come in now with the white. It's always good to have a clean white tip of your pencil. Well, it doesn't matter if it's sharp or not. So I think for me, this is like the fun part of just coloring it all in with white. So go ahead and get started. So here you go. This is how it looks after I went in heavy with the Prismacolor, the white Prismacolor, and I just colored it all in over it with white. I was gonna do the cold gray 10% over the black portion, but I forgot, and I just kept on going with the white. And so yeah, so this is what I would do to make it look like it's in an ice or it's underwater. Your white Prismacolor is your best friend pretty much. And I was contemplating about whether or not to color in the wings with white Posca, but from dealing with the other picture, putting the white Posca is just too bright, so I decided to just go ahead and leave it as it is. And so yeah, so I hope you guys liked it. I hope you can see that all you have to do is just layer colors down, but not like burnish it in, especially with the Create Space paper, but instead use the white Prismacolor to burnish the color in to make it look like it's underwater or encased in ice. And then here is the other page that I colored earlier with the transparent clothing. I know, please let me know what you think. To me it looks transparent, and I don't know if I would add anything else to it. The white Posca was bothering me, but looking at it now, I don't know, I would just leave it and continue on with the rest of the page. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I was able to explain how I go about tackling transparent clothing and coloring an image that is under ice or water. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Just leave your question down below in the comments, or you can email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So yeah, thank you so much to all of you for watching. Whether you are subscribed or not, I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please enjoy the rest of your day or evening, and happy colorings. Goodbye.